There was a time when I felt utterly powerless, like everything was happening to me, and no matter what I did, I couldn't shift the weight off my shoulders. Every setback felt like the world was conspiring against me. It's exhausting when life feels out of control, when no matter how hard you try, things just seem to slip through your fingers. You start to wonder, is this all there is? Is life just a series of disappointments where control is something only other people seem to have? But then I discovered something that changed everything, a philosophy that showed me that true control isn't found in bending the world to your will, but in mastering yourself. It's called Stoicism, an ancient philosophy built around one simple truth. While you can't always control what happens around you, you can control how you respond to it. And in that response, in how you manage your mind and actions, lies immense power. The Stoics, people like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, lived centuries ago, but their insights into human nature and resilience are just as relevant today. They understood that much of what makes us feel powerless stems from trying to control things we simply can't. What others think, how events unfold, even the inevitable struggles of life. But what if you could let go of all that? What if instead you focused entirely on what you could control, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions? This philosophy is not about detaching from life or being passive. Quite the opposite. It's about reclaiming your inner strength, recognizing that you are the only one who can govern your mind and your actions. No one else can take that from you unless you give it to them. The more you focus on mastering yourself, the more you will see that true power lies not in external circumstances, but in how you navigate them. So, if you're tired of feeling powerless, of letting life push you around, it's time to turn to Stoicism, not as some abstract idea, but as a way of life that empowers you to handle anything with calm, purpose, and control. You can take back your power, and it starts with mastering the only thing you truly own, yourself. 1. Practice premeditatio malorum. One of the lesser-known Stoic strategies that can change the way you approach life is called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. The essence of this practice is to imagine the worst-case scenario before it ever happens. At first glance, this might sound counterproductive. Why should we spend time thinking about bad things? But the wisdom of this Stoic practice is profound. When you mentally prepare yourself for potential hardships, you strip those events of their power to shock or overwhelm you. It's not about becoming pessimistic or living in fear of disaster. It's about bracing yourself for reality. Life is unpredictable and hardship will come. But if you have already walked through those challenges in your mind, you are no longer blindsided by them. You stand firm, ready for whatever comes. Imagine you're going into a high-stakes meeting. Instead of obsessing over success, take a moment to contemplate what would happen if things went terribly wrong. Maybe you'll be criticized harshly, or perhaps your proposal will be shot down. Visualize those outcomes and, most importantly, visualize how you would respond. What actions would you take afterward? How would you preserve your dignity and maintain your inner calm? By doing this, you are preparing your mind not only for success, but for failure without fear. This is the key. By accepting that adversity is a possibility and equipping yourself mentally for it, you walk into life's challenges unafraid. The Stoics believed that when you anticipate obstacles, they lose their sting. What you fear most becomes manageable because you've already faced it in your mind. Marcus Aurelius frequently used this practice to maintain his calm amid the pressures of ruling an empire. When you prepare for the worst, you are free to act with confidence in the present, knowing that you are resilient enough to face any outcome, and in that, you find your true power. 2. Detach from the outcome. Another tactic central to Stoic thought is learning to detach from the outcome of your efforts. In a world that constantly measures success by results, this Stoic idea can feel revolutionary. We often tie our sense of self-worth and control to whether or not we achieve our desired results. But the Stoics teach us to focus solely on the process, the effort, and the virtues we embody along the way, rather than the end result. The reality is, much of what happens in life is outside our control. We can give our best, pour our energy, and focus into a project, and yet the final outcome may still be dictated by factors we cannot influence, other people's decisions, market conditions, or simply the unpredictability of events. When you fixate on the results, you're placing your peace of mind in the hands of the uncontrollable. By detaching from the outcome, you liberate yourself from unnecessary anxiety and disappointment. Focus instead on what you can control: your actions, your effort, your attitude. This doesn't mean you stop caring about success. It means you stop letting the uncertainty of the future govern your present emotions. Think of a craftsman creating a piece of art. He cannot predict how the world will receive his work, but he can take pride in the attention, skill, and dedication he brings to each stroke. The act of creation itself is where his power lies, not in the applause or criticism that may follow. This mindset allows you to engage deeply with life's pursuits without being weighed down by fear of failure. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." By learning to detach from the outcome, you become willing to accept whatever the universe throws at you, knowing that your real strength lies in your effort, not in how things turn out. This is where your power as a Stoic emerges, not in the result, but in the unwavering pursuit of excellence, no matter what comes next. 3. Turn obstacles into fuel. One of the most empowering Stoic tactics is the idea that obstacles aren't something to be avoided or feared, but to be embraced and even turned into fuel for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound insight teaches that the very challenges we encounter in life are not blockades. They are opportunities for us to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Imagine facing a difficult situation, perhaps a major setback in your career, a relationship on the rocks, or a personal failure. The initial instinct might be to view these as disasters, moments of defeat. But the Stoics encourage us to flip the script. Instead of seeing obstacles as something to dread, we can learn to view them as opportunities. Every challenge we face is a chance to hone our virtues, whether it's patience, perseverance, or courage. This mindset shift is not about being naive or ignoring the seriousness of hardships. Rather, it's about recognizing that life will always present us with challenges, and the more we see them as stepping stones instead of roadblocks, the more power we have over them. A Stoic doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "How can I use this to become better?" Think of adversity like the weight that strengthens a muscle. Without resistance, there is no growth. Every challenge presents a lesson, a chance to sharpen your skills and develop your character. When you stop fearing obstacles and start using them as fuel for improvement, you transform your relationship with hardship. What once seemed like an insurmountable barrier becomes a tool for your personal evolution. By adopting this Stoic tactic, you learn to thrive in the face of adversity. You no longer feel powerless when life throws difficulties your way. Instead, you stand ready, knowing that whatever happens, you will grow stronger because of it. In this way, you turn every obstacle into fuel and every setback into a stepping stone toward becoming the best version of yourself. 4. Control your response, not the situation. One of the most empowering Stoic principles is realizing that, while we can't control external events, we can always control how we respond to them. This tactic, embraced by Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, is simple yet profound. When faced with a problem, focus on your reaction rather than the situation itself. Imagine encountering a rude colleague, receiving disappointing news, or being blindsided by an unexpected setback. Our instinct is often to try and change the situation or push back against it. But Stoicism teaches us to instead shift our focus inward, toward the only thing we truly control, our response. This doesn't mean passively accepting everything that happens to you. It means actively choosing how you interpret and respond to every situation. When someone insults you, for instance, they are offering their opinion. It's up to you whether you let that opinion affect your peace of mind or let it pass by like a leaf in the wind. In the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This Stoic tactic is powerful because it puts the reins back in your hands. When you realize that your emotions are within your control, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. If you respond to anger with calm or to frustration with patience, you begin to see that no one can take your peace from you unless you allow it. Controlling your response also means recognizing that your perspective shapes your experience. You can view an obstacle as a curse or as an opportunity to grow. You can see a setback as the end or as a new beginning. By consciously choosing your responses, you master not just your emotions, but the way you live your life. This Stoic tactic doesn't shield you from hardship, but it ensures that when hardship comes, it does not shake you. You stand firm, knowing that no matter what happens, your response is your choice, and in that choice lies your power. 5. Apply the dichotomy of control. One of the cornerstones of Stoic thought is the dichotomy of control, a powerful mental framework that divides the world into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. This is a fundamental Stoic tactic that teaches us to focus only on what is within our control and to let go of the rest. Every problem you face can be broken down into this simple dichotomy. You can control your thoughts, actions, and responses. You cannot control other people's opinions, external events, or even the outcome of many of your actions. Understanding this distinction is crucial because it prevents you from wasting energy on things that are out of your hands. Imagine you are working on a project, but your success depends on the approval of others. Instead of fixating on the outcome or what people might think, focus on what you can control: your effort, the quality of your work, and your own attitude. Once you've done your part, the rest is up to fate. Worrying about the uncontrollable only drains your mental energy and causes unnecessary stress. This Stoic tactic doesn't mean you stop caring or become indifferent. It means you stop attaching your peace of mind to external factors. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." When you fully grasp this concept, you begin to see that most of life's stresses come from trying to control things we never had power over in the first place. By applying the dichotomy of control, you become more focused, more effective, and more at peace. You free yourself from the frustration of trying to manage the uncontrollable and instead pour your energy into what really matters: your own actions, thoughts, and responses. This is how you win the internal battle, no matter what is happening externally. 6. Shift your perspective with the view from above. One of the most unique and creative Stoic tactics is what Marcus Aurelius called the view from above. This technique is a mental exercise that helps you rise above your problems by expanding your perspective. When you're caught up in the day-to-day struggles of life, it's easy to get bogged down in minor frustrations or feel overwhelmed by challenges. But the view from above changes everything. Imagine you're looking at your life from a higher vantage point. You zoom out from your immediate surroundings and see your current problems in the context of the broader world. Your difficulties, which once seemed so consuming, shrink in significance when viewed from this perspective. Your worries are just a small part of a much larger picture, one that includes the entire planet, the course of history, and the vastness of the universe. The Stoics believed that this shift in perspective is essential for maintaining emotional balance. When you take the view from above, you stop seeing your problems as the center of the universe. You realize that, in the grand scheme of things, many of your daily stresses are fleeting and insignificant. This doesn't mean you dismiss your problems, but it gives you a new sense of proportion. You stop taking every setback personally and start viewing life's challenges with calm detachment. This practice also helps you appreciate your place in the world. You see that you are part of something much larger, a web of interconnected events, people, and forces. Your individual struggles are not isolated. They are part of the human experience, and just as the difficulties of others come and go, so too will your own. Marcus Aurelius would often remind himself of this vast perspective, writing, "Look at the world from above and see everything as insignificant and changeable." This Stoic tactic allows you to keep your problems in perspective and respond to them with wisdom and serenity rather than panic or despair. 7. Focus on progress, not perfection. In a world that constantly pushes for perfection, Stoicism offers a refreshingly different approach: focus on progress. The Stoics believed that striving for progress, rather than being fixated on unattainable perfection, leads to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. This shift in mindset is not just about self-compassion, but about understanding the nature of growth itself. When you focus on perfection, you set yourself up for disappointment. The reality is that no matter how hard you try, perfection is often elusive. Even the Stoic masters, figures like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, did not claim to be perfect. They knew that human life is messy, full of mistakes, and constantly evolving. Progress, on the other hand, is always within your reach. Think about how this Stoic tactic applies to problem solving. Instead of getting stuck in analysis paralysis, waiting for the perfect solution to emerge, the Stoic takes action, however imperfect it may seem. By focusing on making small improvements, you build momentum and cultivate resilience. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. The key is to reflect on your growth rather than your shortcomings. If you've handled a situation better today than you would have yesterday, that's progress. If you've learned from a mistake, you've moved forward. Progress is about learning and improving over time, not about flawless execution in every moment. This Stoic tactic frees you from the chains of self-criticism and fear of failure. It allows you to approach life's challenges with a mindset of growth rather than perfectionism. When you focus on progress, you recognize that every setback is part of the journey and that every small victory is worth celebrating. By embracing this mindset, you not only reduce your stress, but also increase your ability to tackle problems with creativity and persistence. You learn to view life as a series of opportunities for growth rather than a relentless pursuit of an impossible ideal. 8. Practice negative visualization. One of the more counterintuitive yet powerful Stoic tactics is the practice of negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This involves intentionally imagining worst-case scenarios as a way of preparing yourself mentally and emotionally for challenges. To many, this might seem pessimistic, but for the Stoics, it was a method of strengthening their resilience and finding peace amidst uncertainty. Negative visualization is not about dwelling on negative thoughts. Rather, it is about acknowledging that things can go wrong and preparing your mind for that reality. When you imagine the worst-case scenario, you are no longer caught off guard when things don't go as planned. In fact, You're more likely to handle the situation with calmness and clarity because you've mentally rehearsed it. For example, if you're facing a difficult situation at work or a personal challenge, take a moment to visualize what might happen if things don't go well. What if you fail? What if the project doesn't succeed? What if the relationship ends? By confronting these possibilities in your mind, you strip them of their power to cause you fear. You see that, even in the worst-case scenario, you can survive. You can endure. The Stoics believed that fear of the unknown is often more crippling than the actual event itself. By practicing negative visualization, you remove the sting of surprise and become better equipped to navigate difficulties. It doesn't mean you are inviting disaster, but rather you are preparing yourself to handle adversity with grace. Marcus Aurelius would practice this tactic daily, reminding himself that misfortune, loss, and death were natural parts of life. He wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.' By preparing for life's difficulties in this way, you maintain control over your emotional state and respond with stoic calm when problems arise." 9. Embrace radical acceptance. One of the most transformative Stoic tactics is the practice of amor fati, which translates to love of fate. This idea goes beyond merely accepting what happens to you. It's about embracing every aspect of life, both the good and the bad, as necessary parts of your journey. Stoics believed that nothing happens without reason, and therefore everything that occurs is meant to shape you into a stronger, wiser person. Radical acceptance is a mindset that invites peace and resilience in the face of adversity. When you face a challenge or problem, rather than resisting or wishing things were different, you accept them fully. You don't just tolerate the obstacle, you welcome it as part of your path. For example, imagine you've lost your job or faced a significant personal setback. Instead of spiraling into frustration or resentment, you practice amor fati. You remind yourself that this moment, while difficult, is an opportunity for growth. You accept that this is your current reality and that, like all things, it is temporary. By embracing it, you strip it of its ability to overwhelm you. Radical acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to fate without effort. It means working with the situation you have, rather than longing for a different set of circumstances. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This Stoic approach teaches you to transform obstacles into fuel for your inner fire. This tactic shifts your focus from "Why is this happening to me?" to "How can I use this to become stronger?" It's about harnessing the power of acceptance to turn every problem into an opportunity for growth. By accepting what is, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that comes from wishing things were different. You become adaptable, resilient, and unshakable in the face of life's unpredictability. 10. Detach from outcomes. One of the core Stoic principles that greatly aids in problem-solving is the idea of detaching from outcomes. This doesn't mean that you don't care about the results of your efforts, but rather that you don't allow yourself to be consumed by the need for a specific outcome. The Stoics taught that while we can control our actions and our efforts, we cannot control the results. Those are in the hands of fate. In every problem you face, there is a desire for a specific resolution, a desire for things to work out a certain way. You want your project to succeed, your relationship to thrive, or your plans to unfold perfectly. But clinging too tightly to the outcome makes you vulnerable to disappointment, frustration, and even fear. The Stoics remind us to focus instead on what is within our power, our actions, our effort, and our attitude. Epictetus famously said, Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This Stoic tactic helps you shift your mindset from one of anxiety over results to one of peace with the process. You understand that while you can influence the outcome through preparation and effort, you cannot control it entirely. Once you have done your best, let go and trust that whatever happens is for the best, even if it isn't what you originally wanted. Detaching from outcomes allows you to approach problems with a calm and level-headed mindset. You are no longer paralyzed by the fear of failure or consumed by the pressure to succeed. Instead, you can focus on doing your best in the moment, knowing that whatever happens, you are prepared to adapt. This approach reduces stress, anxiety, and frustration, leaving you more capable of navigating complex problems with clarity and resilience. 11. Master emotional regulation. Stoicism places great emphasis on controlling your emotional responses, especially in difficult situations. The Stoics believed that our emotions, when left unchecked, often cloud our judgment and make problems seem bigger than they really are. Mastering emotional regulation is key to solving problems effectively and with a clear mind. When faced with a challenging situation, it's easy to let emotions like anger, fear, or frustration take over. These emotions can quickly escalate a problem and make it seem overwhelming. However, by practicing emotional regulation, you maintain control over how you respond to these feelings. Rather than letting emotions dictate your actions, you pause, assess, and choose the best course of action from a place of calm. The Stoics understood that emotions themselves are not inherently bad. It's our reactions to them that can create unnecessary suffering. Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about the importance of controlling emotional impulses, reminding himself that emotions are fleeting and should not be allowed to dictate behavior. He famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To master emotional regulation, the Stoics practiced a technique called cognitive distancing. This involves stepping back from your emotional reactions and viewing them as an observer rather than letting them consume you. When you feel anger rising, for example, you don't act on it immediately. Instead, you acknowledge the feeling, understand its source, and decide how to respond in a way that aligns with your values and goals. This tactic helps you maintain a sense of control in difficult situations. By keeping your emotions in check, you are better equipped to see problems clearly, make rational decisions, and avoid unnecessary conflict. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings, but about mastering the ability to choose your responses, allowing you to approach challenges with greater wisdom and composure. 12. Take decisive action. Stoicism is not a philosophy of passive acceptance. It's about taking bold, decisive action in the face of adversity. While Stoics advocate for careful thought and planning, they also recognize that overthinking and hesitation can be just as damaging as impulsive actions. The key is finding the balance between reflection and action, and knowing when it's time to move forward. When confronted with a problem, it's easy to get stuck in analysis paralysis, endlessly weighing options, worrying about potential outcomes, and delaying action. But the Stoics remind us that life is unpredictable, and waiting for the perfect moment often leads to missed opportunities. Instead, they advocate for taking decisive action based on the best information available at the time. Seneca wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." This Stoic mindset encourages you to act, even in the face of uncertainty. You may not have all the answers or know exactly how things will turn out, but inaction is rarely the solution. Once you've reflected on the situation, considered your options, and made a plan, the next step is to take action. Taking decisive action doesn't mean rushing blindly into decisions. It means trusting yourself to act when it's necessary and to adjust as you go. This Stoic principle empowers you to break free from the paralysis of indecision and move forward with confidence. You understand that not every decision will be perfect, but you can learn from each step and continue to improve as you go. Decisive action is what separates those who are stuck in their problems from those who solve them. It's about having the courage to make a choice and take responsibility for the outcome, whatever it may be. By adopting this Stoic tactic, you become more proactive, resilient, and effective in handling life's challenges. In embracing these Stoic tactics, you not only strengthen your ability to solve problems, but also cultivate a mindset of resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control every aspect of life, we can control how we respond to it. And in doing so, we find true power and freedom.